dozens of Palestinians were killed while trying to reach food in Gaza. That's where we're starting the 7 from the Washington Post. I'm Hannah Jewell. It's Monday, July 21st. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. Yesterday, hungry, desperate crowds surrounded a UN World Food Program convoy in the northern Gaza Strip. Then, according to local health officials, medics, and witnesses, Israeli forces opened fire on the crowds, killing at least 79 people. Hundreds more were injured. Israel said its forces had fired warning shots to remove what it said was an immediate threat. This is not the first time Israel has used that explanation following the mass killings of civilians seeking scarce food supplies in Gaza. As of July 13th, the UN had recorded 875 people killed in Gaza while trying to get food in recent months. Most of them were killed near sites run by the Israeli and U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Israel's blockade and military campaign have reduced Gaza's population to near starvation. The nonprofit World Central Kitchen said yesterday that its teams in Gaza had run out of ingredients to cook warm meals. President Donald Trump is losing ground with voters on the economy and immigration. That's our second story. The president spent much of last week trying to fend off a revolt in his base over the Jeffrey Epstein case. His supporters are angry over his decision to not release files related to the late sex offender in full. But according to recent polling, Trump has wider problems than just his upset followers. A new Gallup poll shows a remarkable turnaround in public sentiment about aspects of Trump's immigration policy. The public now appears to see the value of immigration more positively, and it views widespread deportations and the administration's enforcement tactics less positively. Meanwhile, other recent surveys find significant dissatisfaction with Trump's handling of the economy. Trump would like to point to successes in his second term, but he clearly has work to do to impress voters. And the swirling Epstein controversy is making his task even more difficult. Number 3. The Trump administration will meet Harvard in court today. Later this morning, a federal judge will hear arguments in Harvard's lawsuit against the administration. The university is challenging the government's attack on its federal research funding. At stake is more than $2 billion and nearly 1,000 grants funding ambitious scientific research, and an answer to the question of how much control the federal government can exert over a private university. Lawyers for Harvard are expected to argue that the government's actions to freeze and cut funding are unlawful and unconstitutional. Lawyers for the Trump administration are expected to argue that Harvard has failed to address anti-Semitism on its campus, and that its alleged actions make it ineligible for federal funding. If you want to know more, you can follow the hearing live on our homepage this morning. Number 4. A global hack on Microsoft targeted U.S. agencies. Companies that use Microsoft's SharePoint collaboration software will want to pay close attention to this story. In the past few days, unknown attackers have exploited a significant vulnerability in that software to hit targets around the world. Victims of the attack include U.S. federal and state agencies, universities, and private companies. One research group said it had tracked more than 50 breaches. Microsoft is working on fixing the flaw, and authorities are investigating the hack. But researchers are alarmed that the hackers have gained access to keys that may allow them to regain entry even after a system is patched. Number 5. The number of people missing in Kerr County, Texas, dropped to 3. Earlier this month, at least 135 people died in catastrophic flooding in central Texas, including dozens of children. Last week, officials said nearly 100 people were still missing. But on Saturday, that figure dropped dramatically. The Kerrville Police Department said that the revision was the result of extensive follow-up work. It also said that many of those reported missing have been verified as safe, but few details were given for the dramatic change in numbers. In our newsletter today, we linked to the Post's investigation into a new era of flooding and why Americans aren't prepared for it. Find our newsletter in our show notes. A pilot had to make an aggressive maneuver to avoid colliding with a B-52 bomber. That's number 6. On Friday, a passenger jet was cleared for landing in North Dakota. But passengers on the SkyWest flight were alarmed when the plane suddenly made a sharp turn to the right and climbed upwards. The pilot explained that he made the diversion to avoid colliding with an Air Force B-52. A passenger recorded his comments.
Sorry about the aggressive maneuver. It caught me by surprise. It's not normal at all. I don't know why they didn't give us a heads up, because the Air Force Base does have radar, and nobody said, hey, there's also a B-52 in the pattern. Long story short, it was not fun.
Air Force officials said a B-52 bomber was performing a flyover at the North Dakota State Fair. But the Air Force did not immediately respond to questions about the location and altitude of the plane during the incident, or whether the base had coordinated its flyover with the airport. And at number 7, Norway wants to become Europe's dumping ground for carbon. A Norwegian island at the edge of the North Sea is the scene of an ambitious new climate project. It's where a company has built the world's first carbon shipping port. It's backed by fossil fuel giants and the Norwegian government. The plan is to capture planet-warming carbon dioxide from factories, carry it on ships to the port, and then bury it deep beneath the ocean floor. If it all goes according to plan, the port could store about 1/10 of Norway's annual emissions, and it could inspire similar projects around the world. But critics say it's too expensive and an excuse to keep burning fossil fuels. Norway is Europe's top oil and gas producer, and it hopes it can someday be its biggest carbon dump too. All right, you're all caught up. If you like the podcast, the number one best thing you can do to support it is to purchase a subscription to The Washington Post. Right now, you can get your first year of a core subscription for just $40. A very fancy premium subscription is just $60 for the first year. That gets you 3 extra accounts to share with your favorite friends and family members. Subscribe to The Post by going to washingtonpost.com/subscribe. I'm Hannah Jewell. I'll meet you back here tomorrow.